Sophia finds herself in Jane Austen's world in the 19th century. She feels out of place to everyone, till she meets Ian. He seems to like Mr. Darcy, but Sophia is in a hurry to get back home. Sophia prepares sketches for her big Jane Austen presentation. Her best friend and roommate, Nina, is worried about her losing sleep because of work. Nina shows Sophia her finished version of Pride and Prejudice, by Jane Austen, which has recently come from the binder. Sophia hopes her boss likes it, and Nina asks her for drinks later to celebrate. Sophia jokes about having a date, but knows she doesn't like any guy except Mr. Darcy. Sophia watches a woman struggling with the guard, who doesn't let her take a manuscript to the editor. Sophia offers to take it for her, and the woman thanks her. Sophia's colleague, Gustavo, holds the elevator door open for her. He asks her for drinks later, since he has been meaning to ask her out. He realizes she isn't interested, but hopes it doesn't change anything between them. Sophia begins her presentation on the characters of Jane Austen's novel. She claims Pride and Prejudice has been considered her magnum opus since 1813. Her boss, Carlos, asks why she wants to go back in time to publish something that has already been overdone. Sophia explains that her version captures the classic style of the 19th century. It also includes 200 extra pages of private letters, reviews, and illustrations from that time. She wants to sell a journey through time and hopes the readers get transported to the era. Gustavo feels Sophia isn't catering to their target audience. He thinks they live in the era of Tinder and 50 Shades of Grey. He thinks modern women prefer intimacy over love and feels they should hire a modern writer to capture the characters in their century. He suggests Lizzie's character could be looking for casual relationships and might marry a rich guy who pays for her influencer lifestyle. Sophia insists it needs to have a happy ending because that was Austen's style. Gustavo strongly feels women of their time don't care about dating. Sophia begs him to not let his frustrations influence a publishing decision. Carlos claims he likes Sophia's presentation, but Gustavo has also made some points he can't ignore. He promises to review this and get back to them. Sophia spills coffee on her phone by mistake. Nina feels bad about how Gustavo treated her, and Sophia is sure all guys are the same. Nina asks for her opinion on her boyfriend Rafa, but Sophia feels Nina got the last decent man. Nina thinks it's ironic an Austen fan like Sophia doesn't like relationships. Sophia claims Austen is fiction, like Cinderella, and feels happy endings only happen in books. She noticed Nina kept looking at the waiter and she wonders what that was about. Nina explains that Rafa has been promoted and has a job in Australia. He wants her to move with him, and she has agreed to marry him. Sophia seems confused and is disappointed Nina is leaving in 4 days. Sophia feels she shouldn't be rushing into something. Nina thinks love is all about not knowing what's next. Sophia is sure she will end up getting hurt. Nina thinks Sophia wants her to be alone, so she can always be her shoulder to cry on. She walks out, and Sophia gets a cake asking her to be Nina's maid of honor. Sophia takes a cab home, and the driver happens to be an Austen fan too. Sophia doesn't want to bother her with her problems, but the driver loves listening to others. Nina explains that she was horrible to her best friend, and she can't even apologize because of her phone. The driver gives Sophia her phone and asks her to use it. Sophia calls Nina, but she doesn't pick up. Sophia explains that Nina is moving to Australia with Rafa, who is very nice. The driver doesn't feel there's anything wrong with that, and thinks Sophia is too young to lose faith in love. Sophia feels like she was born in the wrong era. The driver assures her that Austen can help her get lost when he needs to. She doesn't let Sophia pay for the cab and doesn't bother to take her phone back. Sophia's elevator is out of order, so she starts climbing the stairs. She gets a call back from Nina, whose voice keeps cutting. Sophia can't find her keys and rushes to the terrace to get some reception. The lights around her start flickering. She is transported to another time and place when she opens the door to the roof. She realizes the door she came up from now has a wall behind it. She is stuck in a chapel and rings the bell to alert a man coming towards her. She wonders why Ian is dressed like Darcy and feels Nina is playing a prank on her. She explains that there are no stairs and asks him to catch her. He promises she can put her faith in him, but she threatens him with self-defense moves. She starts descending with the help of a rope. It breaks, and she falls right into his arms. She wakes up in his house with Dr. Almeida attending to her. Everyone is dressed like people from Austen's novels, and Dr. Almeida is sure she has lost her memory. He asks what happened to Sophia's dress, but she claims everyone dresses like her. Dr. Almeida insists they dress more modestly in their area. He assures Ian and his sister Elisa that her condition is stable. Ian asks him for dinner and wants Elisa to help Sophia get dressed. Elisa thinks the way Ian carried Sophia home felt like a fairy tale. She is warm to Sophia, who is more worried about her medicine being 300 years old. Sophia wants to go home, but Elisa thinks it's too late to travel. Elisa doesn't understand when Sophia mentions Uber and taxis. Her phone is still not working, and Elisa is fascinated by her sunglasses. Sophia asks for the toilet, so Elisa takes her outside the house. Everyone is dressed the same, which concerns Sophia. When Elisa claims the toilet is a modern concept, Sophia asks about the year they're in. She learns she's in 1830 and will have to use lettuce for toilet paper. She finds a text on her phone asking her to take a deep breath because her journey has just begun. Dr. Almeida suggests Ian should make Sophia leave soon. People are talking about how she dresses. Ian refuses to throw her out in that condition and wants her to stay longer. He receives some thank you letters for Elisa's debutante ball. Dr. Almeida remembers a letter he got from Ian's aunt from London. She is worried about Elisa because Ian is living like a bachelor. Ian knows his aunt thinks he's enjoying life. He feels she should visit them and see how hard he is working. Dr. Almeida also thinks Ian should get married. He feels he has yet to find a woman who matches up with his mother. He gets distracted with Sophia when she comes back home, so Dr. Almeida shuts the door. Teodora Mora, who is helping Elisa with dinner, makes a rude comment about Sophia. She asks Elisa to get dressed and ignores Sophia. Elisa asks Sophia to not take Teodora seriously. She is in a bad mood because many other women like her want to marry Ian. Elisa gets a few dress options for Sophia. She is still worried about getting home, but Elisa assures her they have many resources in the 19th century. Elisa picks up the sunglasses again, so Sophia asks her to keep them. Elisa claims she has a lot of dresses because Ian never says no to her. Her parents passed away 5 years ago, but she still has the best brother in Ian. She thinks he sometimes tries too hard to be her parent. That's when she misses him as a brother. They decide to choose Sophia's dress, and Elisa teaches her how to wear things in order. Sophia likes it on herself and wears a jacket over it. Mrs. Albuquerque teaches her granddaughter Valentina to ask Ian questions at the diner. She feels no honorable man would be interested in a woman's interests. Mrs. Albuquerque compliments Ian's house and can already picture children running around. Ian is cordial to her, but she keeps bragging about how well she has trained Valentina. She keeps praising Valentina's beauty. Teodora decides to greet her and take Ian's arm. Mrs. Albuquerque hasn't seen Teodora since her debut many years ago. She reminds Teodora she used to have a lot of suitors at one point. Ian asks Ms. Madalena to get Elisa for them, but she's already waiting with Sophia. Mrs. Albuquerque brags about Valentina's debut last spring and remembers Ian wasn't there. He claims he had work, and Mrs. Albuquerque thinks it's very honorable. When Sophia is curious about what he does, Ian explains that he breeds horses. Teodora thinks he's the best horse breeder in the country. Mrs. Albuquerque nudges Valentina, so she reluctantly asks Ian about work. Ian admits one of his horses ran away, and Sophia wonders if it's the same black one she saw in a portrait. Ian calls him Storm and feels he's tameless. Sophia remembers she always dreamt of having a horse but got a Barbie instead. Dr. Almeida seems eager for her to leave, but Elisa wants Sophia to stay for her ball. Sophia claims people must be looking for her. She explains she doesn't have a husband. Mrs. Albuquerque feels bad for her since she thinks it's difficult to get a good suitor with age. Sophia thinks she doesn't need a man when she makes her own living. They're all curious, and she explains she works at a publishing house. Ian realizes she must love reading, and she goes on to explain how she studied languages in college. Mrs. Albuquerque chokes on her drink because she believes women aren't allowed to go to college. She gets anxious imagining a lady surrounded by so many men. Sophia's phone starts buzzing, so she runs to the study to pick it up. It turns out to be the cab driver, and Sophia assumes she wants her phone back. She claims Sophia needs it more and explains that she is exactly where she needs to be. Sophia realizes she sent her there. The woman thinks Sophia must love this new world and knows the process can be a lot for some people. She asks Sophia to not mention she's from another world because people might think she's crazy. Sophia wants to get back home and thinks Nina might be worried. The woman is disappointed Sophia wants an out already. She assures Sophia there is a way out, but for that, she needs to ask a man she already knows to take her home. She doesn't give details of the man and cuts the call. Ian finds her browsing through his books and is impressed she has read most in his collection. He even quotes Shelley's poems for her. She asks about Austen, but Ian has never heard of her. Sophia claims she's disappointed in him. She explains she tried to publish Austen's book, but romance is no longer a thing where she comes from. Mrs. Albuquerque remembers an outlander who showed up randomly in town just like Sophia. She heard about it from Madame Georgette, who is the most esteemed dressmaker. Sophia has never heard of Santiago. but she plans to meet Georgette when she comes for Elisa's dress fitting the next day. Sophia paces her room and tries to figure out more about Santiago. She realizes the painting of Storm has been made by Ian. Elisa wakes her up at 6 in the morning because Georgette is about to arrive. Georgette is glad to see Sophia after hearing so much about her. She claims she appreciates immodest outfits as a French woman. Sophia's dress has exceeded her expectations, and she decides to make Sophia her muse. She wants to create something unique and asks her assistant, Annalise, to take Sophia's measurements. Georgette already has a vision and thinks Sophia's dress will be unlike anything they have seen. Sophia asks about Santiago, and Georgette knows he has ordered a modern suit for the ballet that night. She asks for details, but Teodora asks Georgette to focus on Elisa's dress. Valentina admires Sophia's leather jacket and hopes to visit the place she's from. Valentina explains that her grandmother forces her to wear the favorite colors of her suitors. She's wearing burgundy for Ian, but her favorite color is black. Sophia offers her jacket to Valentina and thinks she looks classy. Teodora teases Elisa about Mr. Lucas, who has returned from Europe early for her ball. Sophia tries to tease Elisa about her crush too, but they don't understand the modern terms she uses. Sophia thanks Ian for his hospitality before leaving. She hears from Madalena that Ian was looking for Austen novels. Madalena was unable to find it because the bookseller hadn't heard of the author. Sophia asks Ian about the ballet, which is too far on foot. He offers to take her there since he keeps going with Elisa. To thank him for his kindness, Sophia gives him her version of Pride and Prejudice. She asks if he's free to do something before the ballet. He makes her ride on his horse, and she teases him about Teodora. Ian thinks marriage is a serious decision, and he will do it for his family. Sophia feels marriage is useless without love, but Ian thinks a man can learn to love his wife. She thinks if he's marrying because of pressure, he needs to have the courage to think for himself. He brings her to his mother's favorite spot and explains that he was 15 when she passed. Elisa had just turned 9 then, and he didn't know if he did enough for her. Sophia explains that Nina was there when her parents passed too. She's more than a real sister to her, but she's now worried about her getting married. Ian explains that whenever he comes to this place, he feels like he's waiting for someone. Sophia spots Storm coming towards them and goes to meet him. She turns around and gets too close to Ian, but Storm runs away again. When everyone enters the ballet, Teodora corners Sophia. She feels Ian might be blinded by Sophia's beauty, but she recognizes her as a gold digger. She seems to know what women of Sophia's class want. Sophia challenges her to say something to the others, but Elisa interrupts them. Ian informs them that Lucas is back from abroad and is happy that he will attend Elisa's ball. They discuss how good Josephine, the ballerina, looks. Sophia recognizes a phone in a man's hand and realizes that is Santiago. She chases after him, but he disappears with Josephine. Sophia is excited about her first ballet. She explains to Ian that it's not too accessible back home. She gets excited to see Cinderella but is too loud. She watches Santiago leaving the ballet and decides to follow him. Ian follows her too, but some women stop him from flirting with him. He pushes them away to chase after Sophia in the stage area. Sophia finds Santiago with the ballerina, but Ian finds her too. Sophia explains that she thinks Santiago can help her get home. Ian is jealous and feels it's not appropriate for her to be chasing a man like that. He is worried about her reputation, but she doesn't care what people think. She reminds him she's not his wife and would never let him control her. He claims he was trying to protect her and hopes she feels the same way about him. She pretends to not understand what he means, so he apologizes for overstepping. Sophia thanks him for everything, but he doesn't want her gratitude. Elisa informs Sophia that she just missed Santiago, but he has agreed to come to Elisa's ball the next day because Ian invited him. Sophia feels guilty and heads to Ian's room at night. She feels bad about scolding him and is about to explain her story. She notices a painting he has made of her and is amazed by how he pictures her. She kisses him, and he passionately kisses her back. He feels guilty after intimacy, but she reminds him they consented to it. He has never felt this way about anyone and asks her to stay with him. Sophia needs to get back to her life, but Ian feels she can have a life with him too. She tries to explain that they might hurt each other, but he kisses her. Sophia gets back to her room and tries to find Ian in his study the next day. She finds the cab driver lying on the desk and reading her version of Pride and Prejudice. She claims she has a thing for bad boys and prefers Wickhams. She explains that Ian is out with Elise and shuts the door to talk to Sophia. The woman knows magic has been modernized, but feels Sophia should recognize her as her fairy godmother. Sophia doesn't believe it, but she explains how she created a reality Sophia needed. Theodora is curious and tries to listen to their conversation. Her fairy godmother feels Sophia will thank her later. Sophia hopes she's there to take her home. She reminds Sophia that only the man she told her about can take her back. She still thinks it's more important to figure out if Sophia wants to go back. Theodora has heard enough and opens the door to ask who she's with. Her fairy godmother disappears, so Sophia claims she is talking to herself. Before Elisa's ball, Ian gifts her their mother's necklace. He is sure she would be proud of the woman Elisa has become. He takes her hand and escorts her to the ball. Mrs. Albuquerque reminds Valentina that her future depends on that night. Valentina knows it well, but wears a leather jacket over her dress. Elisa thinks Valentina looks great. Mrs. Albuquerque feels embarrassed and isn't in the mood to talk to Ian this time. Theodora makes sure to taunt Mrs. Albuquerque about Valentina's outfit. Mr. Macedo joins them, and Mrs. Albuquerque asks about his mother. Elisa gets excited to see Lucas, who is Dr. Almeida's nephew. He is glad to meet her, but she's already heard great things about him. She takes him for a dance, and Dr. Almeida feels they make a great match. Dr. Almeida feels Ian's match with an ideal woman is more urgent. He asks Ian to choose and tosses a coin for him. When he catches it, all heads turn to look at Sophia in the modern dress Georgette made for her. Ian takes her hand, and she shows him she still has the same shows. When he asks her for a dance, she is worried about his reputation. He claims he doesn't care about people anymore and takes her to the floor. As he dances with her, Theodora watches them with jealousy. She agrees to dance with Macedo, while Ian compliments Sophia's dancing skills. He quotes something from Pride and Prejudice and admits he hasn't finished it yet. He just doesn't understand Lizzie's obsession with Darcy, and Sophia feels no man ever does. They glide across the dance floor and everyone keeps watching them. Sophia wants to discuss what happened between them. Ian knows she needs to leave, but is hoping she will decide to stay. Madalena asks Ian to take care of some arrangements, so he leaves Sophia. Elisa asks what Sophia thinks of Lucas, and Sophia is sure he is great for her. As she sips her champagne, Santiago finds Sophia. He has heard she was looking for him, and she realizes gossip travels fast. He feels a small town is alike in any time and place. He loves how these people value such events, and claims he envies them. He still wants to leave as soon as possible. He thinks she will find him crazy if he mentions where he is from. Sophia asks him to meet her in the study so they can discuss this more openly. Mrs. Albuquerque watches her leaving, and finds Ian at the door. She pretends she feels sad about Sophia leaving with Santiago. When Santiago finds her in the study, Sophia asks if he has a way to get home. He feels she should be happy in Ian's mansion, but she asks him to stop pretending. Ian is unable to find her, but Valentina has seen her by the study. Mrs. Albuquerque thinks Valentina is foolish for helping them. Valentina insists she can't build a future with someone she doesn't love. Mrs. Albuquerque is about to protest, but her husband stops her for the first time. Santiago claims he has no idea about Sophia's home, but he wants to take her to his place and tries to force himself on her. Ian throws Santiago away from her and apologizes to Sophia. He punches Santiago when he claims Sophia wants him. Santiago finds a knife, but Sophia hits him with her book and hugs Ian. Dr. Almeida feels it's her fault for being alone in a room with Santiago. Sophia knows she can never survive in this era where women get blamed for everything. She points out to Ian that she obviously doesn't belong to this era and is from a different world. She explains that she's stuck there and thought Santiago could help her get back. She tries to explain what's all there in the future and realizes they probably don't even know what movies are. Ian finds all that hard to believe, but she begs him to trust her. Dr. Almeida claims he believes her and will help her get back to her world. He takes Ian outside and informs him that she has lost her memory because of the head fall. He feels Sophia is fantasizing as a defense mechanism. Theodora also claims she saw Sophia alone in the study talking about witchcraft. They are sure she is crazy, and Sophia hears them talking about how she has hysteria. Dr. Almeida suggests committing her, but Sophia gets offended. She thought Ian was on her side, but now she feels betrayed. She starts running away around midnight, and Ian follows her. Dr. Almeida asks him to worry about his reputation, but he doesn't care. Sophia finds Storm coming towards her and realizes he is the man who can take her home. She starts riding him, and Ian follows her. He asks her to slow down and let him explain himself. He clarifies that he would never commit her or do anything against her will. Sophia knows what happens to women like her in the era, but Ian begs her to not leave. Ian claims all of this doesn't matter to him because he knows he will love her forever. Sophia still goes through the portal and is back home. Storm also disappears in thin air, and she walks around the streets trying to make sense of her situation. She calls Nina for help, who is there for her. Nina doesn't think Sophia is crazy, but admits her story sounds weird. She doesn't care if Sophia went to Jane Austen's world or Narnia. She thinks Sophia is still the same and is glad to have her back. They joke about how her fairy godmother sounds like an evil witch because she didn't give her a happy ending. Nina wonders if she would want to go back, but Sophia doesn't know what to say. Sophia apologizes for saying all those horrible things to her earlier. Nina assures her that what they have is forever. Sophia panics when she drops coffee on a magazine, but she remembers the package the strange lady gave her that day. She heads to the office and finds her own published copy in that package. She also finds letters from Ian addressed to her. Ian admits he fell in love from the moment he saw her the first time. He regrets their time together was so brief, but claims her memories keep him going. He keeps hoping she will come back one day, or read his letter sometime. He wants her to know he will keep loving her till his last moment. Carlos informs Sophia that their partners have agreed to publish her book. He feels she should be more excited, but she can hardly hold back her tears. She tries to figure out what all this means and heads home. Nina is panicking while packing and wonders what will happen if she doesn't get her happy ending. She doesn't know if they will be together forever. Sophia asks Nina to forget everything she said since she didn't know better. Sophia now thinks happy endings are irrelevant, even if she used to think love is not worth it. She knows she was only afraid of getting hurt till she lived her wildest dreams. She has never felt anything like she did with Ian. Sophia feels she would do this all over again if she gets to meet Ian. She assures Nina that love is worth every moment and that she should enjoy it. She helps Nina pack and sees her off. She picks up a call from her fairy godmother and asks why she is doing this to her. She reminds Sophia that she gave her a fairy tale, but Sophia points out she didn't get her happy ending. The fairy godmother reminds her that happy endings are for princesses who don't run away. Sophia claims she wants a second chance. She informs Sophia that there is no turning back from whatever she decides. Sophia hears the elevator and decides to take the stairs to the roof. The door glows again, and she finds herself riding Storm. She asks Storm to take her to Ian, and he drops her off at his mother's favorite spot. Ian soon turns up there and claims he will never forgive himself for hurting her. He keeps coming back to this place every day to find her. Rumors are circulating about him abandoning his duty, but he doesn't care about them. He feels his only duty is to his heart, and he confesses his love for her. Since Sophia doesn't reply, he thinks she doesn't feel the same way. She kisses him passionately and explains she left everything behind for her life with him.